hear me? I don't really want to use the mic. Good? Awesome. So, hi, welcome to the opening ceremonies for the 10th annual High School Business Heroes competition. So we're so excited to have all of you here. As some of you may know, my name is Komal, and this is my partner Seville, and we're super excited about this. And we actually have been past participants, so this is even more exciting for us to host the 10th annual competition. So this is awesome. But yeah, let's begin. So how this event is going to work is we're going to start off with opening remarks from Professor Imad Mohammed, who is the Associate Dean of Undergraduate Commerce here at the Degree School of Business. We'll go on to talk more about High School Business Heroes, and then the moment you guys have all been waiting for, the case reveal, and then more information will be provided by Sarah and Layla, who are representatives from our case sponsor. We'll go on to talk more about the competition, including the phases, some tips, and what other resources you guys have while you're working through the competition. And not to fret, we do have a question and answer period as well as addressing any concerns that you guys do have about the competition. All right, so we'll get started. I'm going to pass it off to Professor Imad Mohammed to formally kick off our opening ceremonies.
Where did you get this picture?
Google?
Google, all right. I took this one outside here actually for the Hamilton Spectator, but I cannot find it anywhere on the web, so.
I can send it to you.
Thank you. All right, well, enough about that. So welcome to the High School Business Heroes Case Competition. First off, I'd like just to mention the fact that this year we have the highest participation ever. Usually we have about 20 teams in the case. This year we have about 68
teams.
We have almost 70 teams. Right? So almost 70 teams, that's a great effort. So please join me in thanking the executive team for a great job. We set the bar high for the succeeding teams. So what is business about? Can anybody answer me that question? Since this is a room full of people interested in business. What is business? About, excuse me?
Trade.
Trade, all right. Yes, we do trade in business. What else? Business is actually about creating value. So it's all about value. So what has changed over time is to whom that value is, okay? So we used to say value is to the shareholders, to the stakeholders, which means that we don't care about anyone else. I want to dig here, I want to make huge profits, I don't care what happens to the local environment. That's what business used to be about. It did not change that it is about value and creating value. What changed is about to whom that value is created. So that's what we have now. What emphasizes the value of business to the larger society. So it's not only about stakeholders, it's not about shareholders, it's not about the big bottom line. It's about having better societies. So when we organize cases like that, we like to instill these values early on you, okay? At the Degree School of Business, it's a place where we collaborate and where we work for the greater society. So that explains why we are having this event here. This is the City Hall, the city of Hamilton. Lately, McMaster University has been working a lot. We have so many collaborations with the city of Hamilton because it fits in the bigger picture of being a member of the larger society, making it a better place. So, and also we'd like to show you the deep-root way of doing business, all right? So, this function, by the way, all this organization, all these skills, it's actually student-led. We did nothing to help with that as faculty. It's all their work. We taught them how to do it, by the way, yeah, but it's all their work. It's all about experiential learning. It's about learning by doing. So this is one way we showcase what we do here at the Degree School of Business. We have so many great programs and exciting programs about that will make you better business people. So I'm not sure how many of you heard of the Mars case competition. By a show of hands, how many of you heard of that one? All right. Nothing from the audience, few from the audience, good. So it's a marketing case competition, and we have another awesome one. That's actually my favorite. It's called the Canada's Next Top Ad Executive. All right. It's actually an awesome case competition. The only bad thing about it, we are not allowed to participate as faculty. General Motors is our sponsor, and 2 years ago they gave a prize I really, really loved. They gave 2 Camaros, like 400 horsepower cars. Would have been nice to win a prize like that, wouldn't it? All right, so anyway, so this is the big root way. So be prepared for 2 months of competition, and learning experience. Make sure that you make the best of it. Not only about learning business, but also about building your connections. So this group of people, this will not be the last time you will see them, all right? So you're gonna see them at this case competition. You're gonna see them in your classrooms when you go to college. Even if they do not go to the same faculty, you will probably see them in job interviews, in case competitions, maybe 20, 30 years down the road. So my advice to you, be nice to each other tonight, okay? Because you're going to meet each other again. So thank you so much for coming, and good luck to all of you.
We just want to give a thank you for coming out tonight. I know you're a busy guy.
Thank you.
No worries.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now we'll get back to the presentation.
Great, so thank you so much for the nice words. Before we go on to talk about High School Business Heroes, we want to thank all the participants. We actually have over 15 schools participating from the greater Hamilton and Toronto area, and as Professor Imad Mohammed mentioned, there's 60 teams, so almost 70 teams with over 200 participants, so that's a lot, so it's going to get intense, but it's going to be fun. And we also want to give a quick shout out to all the mentors who took the time out to go to these schools and present to you guys. They put in a lot of hard work, and we couldn't have done it without them, so just a quick round of applause for our We also want to thank our sponsors. We have numerous organizations who supported us throughout the competition with their generous sponsorship, so obviously it couldn't be possible without them, so thank you to them as well. Yep. And then the last group of people we want to thank is our awesome executive team. We couldn't have done it without them. They helped us plan and put together everything. And they're so awesome, we want to introduce you guys to them. So here we have Akanksha. She's in 3rd year commerce, and she's our Chief Marketing Officer. That's Charan. She's also in 3rd year commerce, and she's our Chief Financial Officer. That's Ohiman. She's in 2nd year commerce, and she's one of our mentorship coordinators with her partner Quinn, who's in 3rd year commerce. There's Haley, who's in 4th year commerce, and she's our Chief Administrative Officer. That's Abdel, non-commerce. He's in 4th year engine management, but he's our digital media director. And we've got Ula, who's in 2nd year commerce, and she's our sponsorship director. And last but not least, we've got Nick, who's in 3rd year commerce, and he's our public relations officer. They're all awesome, and we are all so excited about this. So it's going to be our best year yet. I guarantee you. Now I'm going to pass it off to Sybil to talk more about High School Business Heroes.
Thanks, Komal. So as some of you may or may not know, HSBH was established 10 years ago in 2006 by McMaster University's DeGroote School of Business to help facilitate high school students in their pursuit of business knowledge outside of the classroom. Its mission is twofold. So one, to help enrich the educational experience of senior high school students in the greater Toronto-Hamilton area, and 2, to provide its undergraduate students with opportunities to develop leadership skills by engaging with their community at large. HSBH provides a challenging, competitive, and rewarding experience, as Komal and I know very well ourselves. It provides students also with the opportunities to explore and experience post-secondary education. And all of you participants who are involved will be able to engage and learn from other participants, DeGroote professors, students, along with leading industry professionals. HSBH is not without its rewards, though, as not only will all participants be able to engage in experiential learning outside of the classroom and in the real world, but those who place within the top 3 will win cash prizes, which I know we all love. And Komal and I are so thrilled to announce that we have doubled this year's winning prize money to amount to $1,000 for the top teams in celebration of our 10th annual So now for the moment you guys all came for, where we announce our 2016 case sponsor. As you may have guessed by our venue for tonight, it's a City of Hamilton initiative called Global Hamilton. And And our case challenge is to develop a marketing plan for international youth that helps promote Hamilton as a great city to live and work in after graduation. So throughout the course of the competition, you will be asked to conduct research on the city and engage with fellow students regarding their opinions, as well as finding out what makes Hamilton the best and what differentiates it, and how to integrate that into retaining international students into the city through marketing efforts. But to help provide you with further information, we are so pleased to introduce the project lead of Global Hamilton, Sarah Wayland, along with the chair of Global Hamilton Connect, Layla Abdul-Rahim. So give my
Welcome tonight to City Hall. I bring greetings on behalf of the city staff and the mayor and the city manager who are not here. We have a few of my colleagues from economic development on the back row here. Graham Brown, who is a DeGroote School of Business MBA graduate and undergrad, and Tammy Frank, who is also a DeGroote School of Business graduate. Yeah, okay. So my name is Sarah, and how many of you live in Hamilton now or grew up in Hamilton? So most of you, okay. So what do you think about, like what kind of images come to mind if someone says Hamilton? Yeah, just, you can shout it out.
Jackson Square.
Jackson Square, yes, I go there often, yep. Waterfall capital of the world. Okay, what else?
St. Joseph's Hospital.
St. Joseph's Hospital. Anything from this side? McMaster University, yep. Good. Anything else? Just what about like what kind of images come to mind, or what are your what do people think of when they think of Hamilton? Yep. Steel City, yeah. Steel is still very important to our local economy, although there are not nearly as many people who work in steel as there were at one time. Yep. Diverse. Yep, that's for sure. That's for sure. I'm going to talk about that. Anything else? Okay. Just trying to get your mind flowing on this. So I work in an initiative called Global Hamilton, which is only a couple of years old. Basically, it started as it's an immigrant attraction plan for the city of Hamilton. But it's kind of grown beyond that now that I'm working in economic development. And it also encompasses, I work with a lot with other people in my department who focus on foreign direct investment, and on other issues of growing businesses. I work a lot with the Small Business Enterprise Center that is down on the first floor of City Hall, which helps students and other people who want to start a business and to grow their business. So we work a lot with them. And we also have an initiative that you're going to hear more about in a bit called Global Hamilton Connect, which is a young professionals organization that works with international students a lot. So that's Global Hamilton. And I want to talk just a bit about Hamilton. So many of you are from Hamilton, but just to give a kind of an overview, there's more than 500,000 people that live in the city of Hamilton. It's a growing community. It's expected to grow quite a bit over the next couple of decades. And it's a really important population center. So when you think about Ontario and where people live in Ontario, they're really concentrated in southern Ontario, right? And especially around Lake Ontario. So Hamilton is kind of an important connector between the Niagara region and the GTA. So we're just outside the GTA by definition, but we're kind of right on the edge there. The city of Hamilton is divided into a bunch of different former municipalities, and you may not know that Hamilton is largely rural. If you look at a map and you see Flamborough, for example, and Glanbrook, where the airport is, and even lots of parts of Stony Creek and Ancaster are still have a lot of rural areas that have not been, where housing hasn't been built, but that's really coming. If you go out in Stony Creek Mountain and Ancaster, there's all kinds of new housing going up. And then we have the lower city, which has the older parts. There are more than 400,000 people who work in Hamilton, and our top employers are no longer just steel, but we still have one steel provider in the top 5, ArcelorMittal, Dofasco. But our others, you can see that education provides a lot of the jobs in Hamilton and healthcare. So we have Hamilton Health Sciences, McMaster University. City of Hamilton has about 7,200 employees, and then the public school board. So those are some of the top employers in the city. Also, someone said Hamilton as Steel City, but you might be surprised to know that in Hamilton we have one of the most diverse economies in the country. According to the Conference Board of Canada, which you may have heard of, especially if you're studying business, they ranked Hamilton as the most highly diverse economy in the whole country at a rate of 0.94, whereas 1 would be complete diversity and 0 would be everyone concentrated in one industry. So our strategy in economic development is based on diversification and no longer just on advanced manufacturing, although manufacturing continues to be important to the economy. And these are some of the educational institutions in the city that are very important. We're going to get to talk about international students. So where do you think most international students are in the city of Hamilton? What schools do they go to? Okay, McMaster has quite a few, probably about maybe as many as 2,000, if you count graduate students and undergraduate students together. Mohawk College has over 1,000 international students, and they're aiming to grow their international student population times 2. They're aiming to double it. So they're hoping to reach 2,400 international students in the next 5 years or so. Also, I think, is there a group here from Columbia International College? Saw someone, okay. So Columbia International College is a secondary school, or high school, which is 100% international students, or maybe 99% international students. So there are close to 2,000 students at Columbia, also in West Hamilton. Redeemer University College has about 50 to 100 international students. And then our school boards also have around 100, 50 to 100 to maybe 200 international students. But our focus tonight in your competition, I think, is, it may not really say this, but is more the post-secondary as opposed to the high school students. Because most high school students are going to go on to university or college, often in Canada, but that will kind of determine whether they stay in Hamilton or go somewhere else. But what happens after graduation, and they're looking for jobs and for a place to put down roots. So that's what we're focused on. So let's just talk a little bit about immigration in the city. Someone said diverse, Hamilton is diverse. Yeah, 1 in 4 people who live in Hamilton were born in another country. So 25% of our population is foreign-born. Immigrants have higher levels of education than the Canadian-born population here in Hamilton, and that's true kind of around the country. But it's an aging population. Hamilton used to get more immigrants than it does now compared to other cities. Because people would come here and work in steel, and they didn't necessarily need strong language skills. They could get great jobs and work and support their families and buy a house. And this was sort of the heyday of immigration to Hamilton in the 50s and the 60s and in the early 70s. But now we get a lot more people who are coming who are more professionals, and it's a little more challenging to find work. So about 3,000 to 4,000 people coming per year. These are the top languages spoken. Again, this isn't necessarily international students. This is just for your knowledge to know about the diversity that's already here. It might be helpful in terms of thinking of your strategy. Italian is number 1. Lots of good Italian restaurants in Hamilton, right? Spanish is also, and Arabic are important languages. Partly that's because they encompass many different countries. So many people who speak Arabic come from all different parts of the Middle East and around the world that share a common language. So I already mentioned about the number of international students in Hamilton. What countries do they come from? Does anybody know what are the top sending countries of international students? Take a guess. China. Certainly at Columbia College, I think like 3/4 of your students are come from China, and that's a top source for McMaster as well. and also from Mohawk. What other countries? The number one sending country for Mohawk College is, I know at least one person in this room knows the answer to that question. Yep, anybody? No. India. So it shouldn't be too surprising because China and India have more people in their countries than any other countries in the world, but those are the top sending countries. Also Nigeria. Nigeria is a really important sending country for international students. At McMaster, there are also from South Korea, Pakistan, Taiwan, and in graduate school, we see more students coming from the Middle East, especially Saudi Arabia. And what kind of things do the international students study? What subjects? Business and engineering, yes, especially. Those two, I think, are the most common fields of study. And what are their intentions after graduation? Some of you may have come as international students, or you may know international students. The research shows that most international students want to stay in Canada after graduation. Not all, many want to go home, and I would, don't blame them for wanting to go back to their countries of origin, but many students do want to stay, and they see kind of coming as a student as a first step in a two-step immigration process. So that's also something to keep in mind. And what are some of the challenges that international students face when they're here, when they're studying, living in Canada? Language, yeah, language is a big one. Cultural differences, or just learning the new Canadian culture. Okay. Weather, is anyone going to say weather? Winter? Okay. We just had a recent event about my experiences of winter where we did a video with many international students talking about their experiences of winter in Hamilton, in Canada. There was some research that came out in the Globe and Mail a couple of years ago where they did a survey of international students and found that many of them didn't know any Canadian students. And they felt like they were kind of in a bubble. And they knew other students who came from their countries, spoke their languages, but often didn't connect to students outside of their own communities. Okay. And last question is, why do you think there would be interest from the city, from myself, and from all of us in encouraging international students to want to stay in Hamilton after graduation? So this is not really maybe part of your case, but why would we even make this a case? Why would the city even be interested in this? Yeah.
They bring forward new ideas and benefit our economy.
Right. They bring forward new ideas, can benefit our economy. Sometimes they have different ways of approaching problems based on what they've learned in their own country or from their own family or business experience. Okay, any other thoughts? Because there are lots of reasons, but again, I don't want to, I'm not here to do your work for you. I'm just here kind of to stimulate your brains a little bit and think about why would we want international students to stay? They're important to our local economy. There's an estimate that every international student every year spends about between $40,000 and $50,000 locally. That could be tuition, room and board, other things. So that's strictly from an economic development perspective, but I think again, there's much more kind of broader reasons than just the economic impact study that I think are important to keep in mind. So these are some of the key messages in my work, which don't have necessarily to do with international students, but that immigrants are an asset to Hamilton. In Global Hamilton, we've done a lot to change the dialogue around immigration in the city. We've had a series of articles in the Hamilton Spectator and publicity events, and we know that Hamilton needs immigrants for economic growth. We also know that immigrants are very smart, just like Canadians are, that they will go where the opportunities are. Just because you have a good slick poster campaign about Hamilton doesn't mean anyone's everyone's going to move here. It has to be more than that. We have to have real opportunities for people. So the marketing part is a really important component of that, but it's probably not going to, by itself, going to be the answer. So in my job, I work to attract and to support economic class immigrants, immigrant entrepreneurs, and international students at the City of Hamilton. I think I should have had that up front, not as my last slide. I've already kind of gone into that. These are some of the projects that we do, that I work on with my team in Global Hamilton, and yeah, it's not really just, we do some marketing things. We're launching a business development internship program. We do outreach to ethnic and faith organizations about city services and the like. And so now I'm going to turn it over to my friend Layla, who's going to come and talk a bit about Global Hamilton Connect. And then after that, we're happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Thanks, Sarah. So we thought it would be interesting to have a live version of an international student in front of us. So like Sarah mentioned, my name is Layla Moore, and I am the chair for Global Hamilton Connect. 8 years ago, I moved to Hamilton from a very small island in the Persian Gulf called Bahrain, and I attended McMaster University. I had no intentions to stay in Hamilton. Hamilton was merely a transitional city for me to obtain a degree and go back home. Now fast forward to today. I am a permanent resident of Hamilton. I have started roots in a family in Hamilton, and I am proud to say that I have a meaningful job in my field of choice. So what made me stay? It's very simple, to be honest. I was connected. During the time that I was in university, I was fortunate enough and encouraged by my peers to be connected to the community outside of the McMaster bubble. So I started volunteering in different community activities, and by the end of my 4th year, I was so involved in the community that I was volunteering with that I started seeing a home in Hamilton. You see, it's not that having a career option or having job opportunities was not important to me. It really was. But for me, that initial sell was the community. It is your job to find what that selling point is for international students. In my example, in my case, it was the community first, and then it was the job opportunities and the living situation and the lifestyle of the community. So, like Sarah mentioned, without doing too much of your homework for you, I also wanted to talk a little bit about Global Hamilton Connect. So about 2 years ago, or a year and a half ago, a group of us who were recent international students were brought together by Sarah Whitland. So we were recent graduates who were previous international students and had chosen to stay in Hamilton for one reason or another. We were drawn to stay in Hamilton. And what we realized really quickly is that the one thing that really helps attract and retain international students to a community is the level of their connection to the community and its resources. And with that, Global Hamilton Connect was born. Well, that stopped my initial segue. There you go. So Global Hamilton Connect is a young professional group aimed at international students and young professionals who are new to the country and aimed at connecting them to resources in Hamilton. So whether you're an international student or a young professional that's new to Hamilton and to Canada, we will help connect you to different resources in the community. And we do that through a series of things. So we focus mainly on 3 kind of root bases that we base our events around. So the first thing is we connect international students and young immigrants to resources like I mentioned. So one thing we realized is there isn't much of a difference between international students and Canadian-born students. The one main factor that we realized was that the level of networks were different. So we wanted to kind of level this scale and introduce international students to different networks in Hamilton. So one thing we do is we organize a lot of events to connect international students to those different networks in Hamilton and the resources that perhaps Canadian-born students have had access to their entire lives. We try to showcase employment and volunteer opportunities through partnering with different agencies and educational institutions in Hamilton. So we also cater our events to host professional development events and incorporate those different employers and educational institutions in those events to help also introduce international students to different people and employers. And lastly, but what I think is actually the most important thing, is we create a space for international students to share their experiences, mutually help each other, and ask those questions that perhaps you wouldn't find other venues where you can ask and share experiences outside of Global Hamilton Camp. So in 1 year, in our first year, we managed to engage 750 international students and partners in Hamilton. Now, with a platform of first of its kind, that was quite an accomplishment in its first year. How we did it is we targeted universities and colleges through their international student departments and their graduate and undergraduate departments. We focused heavily on their help to help engage international students. The one area that we are going to focus on but have not been able to reach to a lot was the young professional population outside of the universities and colleges, so outside of the international student segment. We have a strong and fantastic social media and online presence and have recently been focusing on the public engagement piece of international students and young newcomers in Hamilton. So from Sarah's presentation, we know that there's about over 5,000 international students in Hamilton, and we also know that different educational institutions and colleges are aiming to double that number in the coming years. Our focus was to connect international students to the community and to the resources in Hamilton, but that's only one strategy to do that. We really look forward to seeing how you are planning to engage the other 4,000 plus international students and newcomers in Hamilton. Thank you. We have some time for questions.
Absolutely.
We're happy to take questions if you like. We try not to share too much because we'd like to see what you think and hear your ideas. So,
You guys don't have to be shy and ask questions.
What specifically attracted you to MAC as a school when you had a lot of options?
just a simple Google search. To be honest, I attended a few university fairs, and I applied to quite a few schools in Canada, and I got accepted. And to be honest, I like McMaster's website. I knew they were all good schools, and it was kind of, for me, coming from a perspective of not knowing any city, not knowing anyone in any city. It was kind of all the same to me. Canada was cold, so the level of education was all high enough that it was just kind of the luck of the draw, I guess, for me personally. Yes.
What faculty were you in at MAC? And secondly, was there a language barrier for you coming from your home country?
I was actually a commerce graduate. So I went to degree school of business, and to be honest, I spoke English before I attended university. English was my third language, but I definitely spoke English before attending.
It's just one more question. In your experience at MAC, do foreign students have English? Like, do they have a really high level of expertise in English before they come? come, or is that something that they find here?
I would say so. I mean, before attending university, you have to do a lot of tests in order to qualify to even apply. So one of the main ones is the English test. So you can choose between the IELTS, TOEFL, and the different ones. And I think when I did it, it was at least a benchmark 7, which is on the higher end. You have to speak English in order to be accepted. Now, you might be able to argue the level of accent or comprehension or how easily someone can understand you. That might be something you could argue, but in order to read and write, you have to be able to do that in order to be accepted.
My question is related. How long would you say did it take to settle down and listen to Hamilton and get involved in the community?
To get involved in the community or to get a job?
Like just to settle down and, like when you made your decision to settle down in Hamilton and actually live there?
I made my decision by the end of my 4th year. I had been volunteering for a long time in the community, and it just was so an integral part of my life that I felt that this could be somewhere where I can start a home. Now, having said that, it took me a while after making that decision to settle in other terms. If you wanted to find it in terms of finding a job, being comfortable, that took about 6 to 7 months after graduating.
So I know you do like marketing, like you said, in order to reach out to the immigrant students, but how do they get to know about Global Hamilton or Global Hamilton Connect? Is it just through Google, or what do you currently have so that the students know what they can build on, or what different methods they can look at?
Yeah, well, we've worked, as Layla said, we've worked for Global Hamilton Connect. We've worked a lot with the administrations at McMaster and Mohawk that deal with international students and ask them to help promote our events. And they've been, like through social media especially, some newsletters sometimes. And we have our own mailing list now, so we have gone to orientation events, for example, or international student events and try to get people to sign up to be on our mailing list. So mostly through that. Word of mouth, I think, too. Sometimes people come to an event and they enjoy it and they tell their friends about it. But we're volunteer driven, except like I'm a City of Hamilton employee and I'm the advisor to the group. But the board of, we have about 8 people on our board, they're all volunteers. And so it's not like a organization with tons of resources and staff time devoted to promoting things either.
And I think, as I mentioned, this model is this first of its kind in Hamilton, possibly a lot of other cities as well. So we're actually quite connected to a lot of the services in Hamilton that work with newcomers. So they know of this service because there aren't a lot of services catered to the young professional and international student population. We're always involved in the referral process of people referring to our website and our social media outlets as well.
Okay. Okay.
This is Leila. When you first came to Canada, I'm assuming you're homesick. How long did it take you to outgrow this homesickness? And is there anything in Hamilton that helped you fight against that, helped you on the homesickness?
Well, I think it's actually what Sarah was talking about. It helps a lot that Hamilton is actually quite a diverse community. It didn't feel that I was an international student per se. I made a point of really being engaged in school and different activities and meeting people from different places, but whenever I needed to, I could refer back to the certain cultural group that I was from and be able to kind of tap into that resource. And everywhere from the language to the food to the celebrations, I was able to do that. I think being homesick is something, emotional thing that everyone goes through whenever they travel or move somewhere abroad. All we can do is help kind of make that a little less intense. So just being connected to the community, I think, really helps a lot.
After graduation, what was your first job and what position did you hold?
Personal.
That's okay. So the first job I got after graduating was not in my field of study. I started as a case manager to work with government-assisted refugees at Wesley Urban Ministries. So it drawed on my experience as an international student and the languages I spoke. I spoke 2 other languages other than English, and at the time of my graduation, they were in demand. So I was able to tap on an asset other than my education to be able to draw on my first work experience.
So back to the competition, how much would we be, like, what would our budget be kind of thing? Like, because this is a city, right? How much would we be allowed to do? What would our budget be? Like, what kind of things can we kind of expect to make?
I guess whatever's feasible, I guess. I don't think you guys would have a lot, like maybe like a few $1,000. Like, you don't have like $1 million to just sort of expand on. Just
If you want to make it realistic, like you're really
Exactly,
working
yeah.
for the city of Hamilton, I would say like $5,000 maybe.
There you go.
I don't know,
Slim to
What?
none.
Slim to none, yeah. We were trying to like keep taxes at and all that, you know, like no property tax increases, so, you know, the less it costs, the better. We're looking for free stuff here, you know. This is my budget we spent to sponsor this event, hoping.
To give you context, like Sarah mentioned, everyone that's part of Global Hamilton Connect is a volunteer, and our costs are minimal to none. So when I talk about cost, I mean very minimal room rentals and refreshments. Everything else is drawn from connections in the community and people just being really invested in the process of welcoming and help international students make Hamilton their home. If that helps. Sorry, I know there's a question here, but there's one here for a while.
I just have 2. I guess the first one is we have some students, you know, who are outside of Hamilton. This is actually their first time in Hamilton. So it's a great, you know, itinerary. But I'm just wondering, is there any information or advice we can give them to make them less intimidated by not living in Hamilton or being, you know what I'm trying to say, familiar? That's what I'm trying to say.
I think that maybe some of the strategies would be the same no matter what city you lived in, so that would be one answer. Another is that you can learn a lot about Hamilton without living here. So,
yeah, research
There's
is actually a pretty
yeah,
great
research
component
is-
of the phases. So definitely, there, regardless of if you live in Hamilton or not, you're going to have to do some research to back up your points. So I think it's very great for everyone.
And any limitations other than obviously costs and things like that? Is there anything you don't want the students to do to state?
No.
No?
No, let your minds wander.
And there was someone here.
So what, first of all, volunteering is a rather common thing. So what you find the majority of international students would go into volunteering, probably they want to get something related to their field, but what you find is the trend was the most easily accessible thing for them.
I mean, I don't think we have any stats on that, but if I were to make an educated guess, I would say probably interpretation was one of the first things I started volunteering with because it was an easy asset that I already had. I just spoke, you know, 2 other languages, so it was very easy, and it was a segue into other opportunities. I would say a lot of heavy emphasis on community work and social services, but thinking back now, I would say it would probably be better to have some strategic volunteer placements that would have helped a lot more. Yes, Kane?
I have a comment, just to let everybody know. Actually, Graham gave us this idea. For all of our students that are actually here in Hamilton, you guys know what the assets are to Hamilton.
But to the students that are not from Hamilton, put yourselves in the international students' shoes. Because in order to accomplish the research, you do have to go and find this information. And from finding that information, this is going to give you significant insight into what international students are struggling with. So I hope that you'll spend the time to actually do the research on your own and put it through the lens of an international student. But I hope that helps to kind of answer your question a little bit. As well, the City of Hamilton's website was totally revamped. So the fact is there's a ton of information that's on there. And as well, you can always find us through Global Hamilton and Global Hamilton Connect if you have any questions. Does that help answer your question? Thanks.
Very well said.
Yes. I just have a question. So other than you as a person, what helped motivate you into engaging with the community? What helped motivate you? Yeah.
I would say the first step was curiosity of what else exists outside of the McMaster bubble. So it was the sense of I wanted to explore the city that existed outside of the campus boundaries. And once I did, I think it was at a point where I started thinking I might want to stay, because before that point, the plan was to always go back home. So I never bothered being involved in activities, or as the two professors here who probably don't know me, I didn't really get involved in my program because I never thought to stay. And when I did, I realized that I needed to act, and I needed to act fast. So I kind of thought of what can I do to get any experience that I can get my hands on in order to try and catch up with my peers that were graduating from the same program that have had 3 years of being involved in the community and the program, and different mentors and companies. So that was my starting point. Yes,
Can you tell me which organizations you volunteered for when you were a student?
I volunteered as an interpreter, and then I volunteered for a community-based service in the east end of Hamilton in the Claston neighborhood to help with young youth and junior youth through an empowerment program. And then from there, once I started getting into the development scene, the young professional scene, I started volunteering with Global Hamilton Connect, with Hamilton Hive, which no one knows is the young professional umbrella for young professional groups in Hamilton, which really, from there, it exposed a lot of different networks and opportunities, which ultimately, in one way or another, led me to where I am today. Oh, that's true. I volunteered for the City of Hamilton for over a year for their engagement committee. So it was a committee to help residents think about how to truly engage between the city level and the residents of Hamilton. So I did that over a year. Got to build a lot of networks and meet a lot of people, including my current manager.
Would I have to actually get in contact with that sponsor for my partnership, or can I just write about it?
Theoretical is good, right?
You theoretical, but you have to be able to back up how you'd implement. So you can't just say, I'm going to get sponsors from some company. Just be like, I'll grab sponsors, but kind of give us a rough idea of how you want to approach that, so we know your thought process of how it's going to be accomplished.
And then it speaks for itself, something you pull out of thin air, right? Yeah. All right, awesome. Is that? You have a question?
How easy was it for you to access the volunteer opportunity?
That's a good question. The way I did it was I was fortunate enough to have a network of friends and peers who really encouraged me to get involved. So I would say by word of mouth. It wasn't something that I saw, a listing on a website or anything. It was definitely word of mouth and my network and community presence. So I would say in my case it was easy. But moving, kind of fast forwarding to when I started being in the young professional scene, it was definitely a lot more having to seek opportunities. So identifying strategically where I wanted to be next, and identifying those organizations and seeking opportunities with them whenever possible. So as you kind of advance to more strategic positions, I would say it was less easy, but definitely achievable. I see another hand right before.
Sorry, just a generic question. Being an international student could be intimidating. How would you say is the best way to bring these students into the community? Because again, it is like a very, new experience.
That's cheating. I think that's part of what we look forward to see what different cases and groups come up with, but yeah, I'll leave it at that. Sorry, I didn't mean to.
I wasn't sure.
Don't want to influence anyone's decisions, but.
Thank you so much for speaking. To our participants and informing them, I think. No, thank you so much. I appreciate you guys taking the time out and informing all of our awesome participants. It seems very, this is awesome. There were a few other slides. I don't know. Their exact selfie. I don't know.
Oh, sorry, I missed that.
That's okay.
It's right.
Oh. And if you guys wanted some information, these slides will be posted, but that's just ways for you guys to connect with them and get more information on Global Hamilton and Global Hamilton Connect. Awesome. Yeah, thank you so much. And we'll continue on. Just a little heads up, Lula will be filling in because Sybil actually had a night class, unfortunately, that she couldn't miss today. So Lula will be taking her place. But yeah, to get into more important details of the competition, competition starts today as opening ceremonies challenge was revealed. It'll continue next week. Next Tuesday is the first seminar where we have a marketing professor coming in teaching you guys how to analyze a marketing case, also to give you guys more information on how to do your elevator pitch, and then next Friday is when your elevator pitch is due. And then throughout March, we have different seminars to sort of help you progress throughout the competition so that you have all the resources that you need. And then that'll go on up until Saturday, April 9th, which is the closing ceremonies where the top 10 teams will present and the top 3 teams will be announced and decided. So yeah, it's going to be an intense 2 months, but it's going to be fun for sure. So before I get ahead of myself into the closing ceremonies, we'll step back a little bit and come to where we are now, which is you guys are all at phase 1 in the elevator pitch. So for those of you guys that don't know, I want you to imagine that you're in an elevator with the CEO of a huge company. And you have an idea, but obviously you're not going to go into the nitty-gritty details, right? You only have a few minutes and you want to get your point across. So you're going to focus on the main details of your idea. So this is what we want from you, except rather than it being spoken, we want it in a 2-page proposal where you'll outline your main ideas and just some analysis there to back up your idea and why it's so awesome. But you are not alone on this. You do have some resources. Like I said, there's a seminar, and you guys also have really awesome mentors, which I'm going to pass off to Ula to explain more about how they can help you out.
Thank you, Como. So like she said, you have mentors that are very, very valuable to you, so make sure you do use them as a resource. They have been at the group, and that's why they are mentors. So they do know the experiences, and they have a feel of what's currently out there in the business world. So if you have any questions, feel free to ask them. They can help you with formatting, they can help you with just general ideas. Obviously, they're not going to do the work for you, but if you have your own, you just kind of want to double check your idea, run it by them, see what they have, get some feedback from them, because they are there to help you out. And then like it shows on here, there's 2 components that you really got to nail in order to make sure you get the report done, which is your marketing mix and your SWOT. So if you're ever unclear about a concept, you're not really sure what you're required to do, feel free to ask them and they can definitely help you out. But just in general, in order to kind of get through the elevator pitch and the reports, make sure you edit your work together. So feel free to split the report up and do it on your own, feel free to work together. But at the very end, when you want to submit it, it's good to kind of get together and do it in one go, because multiple eyes can catch more mistakes than just one. That, and when you're submitting it, you want to make sure your report flows. So instead of just having chunks and chunks, if everyone reads it together, you kind of get a sense of what the writing styles are and how the report should flow in general. Key point here is plan ahead. So we did show you all the different due dates. You do have tests as well, you have assignments, so know when you're available, what you can do, and what your due dates are. Another important thing is to do your research. So we have different Global Hamilton resources, you have your mentors, which are essential, and then just City of Hamilton as well. And it does draw on a lot of things you learn in class, so SWOT analysis, your marketing mix, and yeah, make sure you get that feedback and do talk to your mentors because they really do have a lot of experience, and as the group students, they know kind of what the feel is in the business world. So after today, we'll be uploading the case package and submission details to the website. So that kind of gives you the rubric, lets you know what we're looking for, kind of the formatting and the bulk of the report. Make sure you hit all those points that were required so you don't lose any marks just for forgetting anything. At least if you hit everything, then feel free to expand, but get the bulk of the information necessary, and then go on and add that quality in as well. Your next event is the seminar, so that's going to be next week on Tuesday, and then following that, they'll be on the Tuesdays. And yeah, it'll be at the DeGroote School of Business, so that's McMaster University, and it's DSB room 505. So DSB is the DeGroote School of Business, room 505, so 5th floor, 5th room. That's the trick here. And then we'll be having our Professor Brad Freshnov come in, and he'll be giving you kind of the background idea as a marketing professor of your SWOT analysis and your marketing mix, which you'll need for your elevator pitch. And then obviously some more information. And attending gives you bonus marks. If you're not able to make it, you can watch the video that we upload after, give a brief summary, couple sentences by the end of the week, and you can get the bonus marks that way as well. But yeah, in terms of resources on our end, everything you need to know is posted on the website. Do follow us on Facebook and Twitter, or like us on Facebook, follow us on Twitter. We do make recent posts, so when things are due, just general ideas. So make sure that you have those resources up there. We also have the YouTube channel as well, to see what videos that we can post.
Yeah, so this video will also be posted by tomorrow.
There you go. Contact information, you have your mentors, which are a very, very key asset for you. The co-chairs listed on Como, that's their email there, and then you have your mentorship coordinators who are over there. And they may have one email, so either of them can be able to answer your questions. Yeah, if you have any questions, comments, and concerns now, we'd be willing to.
Could you go back to your Twitter page?
Yeah.
Do you guys have any questions that we could answer for you right now?
Yes, elevator pitch.
Yes, no? Okay. As long as she's got the, okay. We're good? Awesome. All right. But yeah, other than that, our entire executive team wishes you guys all the best in this competition. We're sure you're all going to do great. And know that, at the end of the day, you guys all are business heroes, regardless of what happens. So yeah, we have time now for you guys to get acquainted with your mentors. If you have forgotten, Quinn and Okama are there to let you know who your mentors are, so you can get acquainted with them, ask them any questions you do have. Feel free to come and talk to any of us exec members. We're really friendly and we're happy to answer any questions you have. And that, thank you so much for coming. We hope you enjoyed yourself. Good luck.